I mean, there's still a sort of group of people who don't see the need for it, frankly, I mean, they've built their research careers on the phenomenon that they've been studying. They found a paradigm that works for them, and they don't really see the need to sort of integrate it with what we know from other sciences or other scientific theories. And so I think that they have problems in sort of adopting an evolutionary perspective. And the question then always is, well, what does this add?
Yeah, what's the value added?
Yes, but
Yeah,
I mean, in a
that's a good
sense, that's a
question.
challenge.
It's a
Well, it
question.
is.
Happy to take it on,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah, so I mean, going back to the sort of leadership, if you can really come up with a good explanation of why there might be a height leadership advantage, and through good hypothesis and good experiments and research, you test various hypotheses and then you nail it, if you like. That's been seen as a contribution to the literature. So that's fine. And the same I mean, going back to the sort of groupthink or conformity effects or obedience, if you could somehow show that, uh, for example, under certain purposes, certain conditions, obedience is actually quite functional because it adds some coordination or coherence to a group challenge, then I think, well, my fellow colleagues can be persuaded that this is a fruitful avenue to go to.
Well, let me ask you another thing we're both familiar with, but I'm eager to have it discussed
Right,
on the magazine, is the just so story accusation. It is levied again and again, actually by my biological colleagues, in addition to
right.
people outside the biology, that there is something kind of irredeemably speculative about approaching human behavior from an
Right.
evolutionary perspective, that it just doesn't get beyond the just so story
Yes,
stage. And well, can you? I
I
mean,
don't
have
have a lot of time for these arguments because I mean no, but I mean why should an evolutionist why should they need to provide more proof than any other discipline? I mean in social psychology in particular, the ultimate explanation was always, oh well, people are socialized that way. So why do we have stereotypes? Um, why do we conform to authorities? Why do women behave in particular different ways than men? Oh, the ultimate explanation, their just so story was always, well, people have been socialized that way.
hmm
They've learned to do it that way. And so, I mean, that is a just so story, but nobody ever accused them of creating these just so stories. I mean, what each phenomenon, in my view, requires is, I mean, proximate explanations or proximate causes, what are the mechanisms, etc. But it also requires some sort of ultimate story. Why? And I think, I mean, it depends on where you do it in the paper, but to me, I think you can study a particular phenomenon, but unless you also try and address this phenomenon from, well, why is it there? And it could be speculative at the end of a paper, or you could put it in the front of the paper and saying, well,
Well,
why
yeah,
is this?
let me add to that. I mean, what you're saying is we need ultimate explanations, we need proximate explanations. Tinbergen's four questions, which we're familiar with,
Exactly. Yeah.
that's the essence of the evolutionary approach, and we need all
Yes.
four of those. You mentioned
Yeah.
development earlier,
Yes. We can't
earlier
nail
on,
them all in one experiment. That is
but
just
in
the
each and every
truth.
one of those, for all four,
Exactly. Yes.
there are it begins speculation. Just so story is an untested hypothesis.
Yeah.
And it goes on from there. So yes, we all want to be good
Yeah.
scientists, and let's get on with it. Is basically the
The
my
this
response
yeah,
to that.
you got the what do they call it? The how do they call it? The area of discovery and the area of proof. And in the area of discovery, everything is allowed.
It's a just so
Generating.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, let me end by emphasizing that one of the delights of being an evolutionist is that you can study all traits in all non-human species
Mm.
and all aspects of humanity, not just as a dilettante, but at the professional level. And as an illustration of that, you have a new paper out on laughter.
Right.
And
I have it here with me.
this is, there it is. Social laughter is correlated with pain
Yes.
threshold, right?
I'm only one of the co-authors.
Another one of
Robin.
your co-authors is my
Yes.
current graduate student,
Right.
Ian McDonald.
yes.
And this just came out in the Proceedings of the Royal Society of London, right?
Yes. Yep.
And which is not a shoddy journal. And tell us about this paper, which is now, I guess, being picked up by the news quite a bit.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think, I mean, again, I think it shows the power of taking an evolutionary perspective because, frankly, I mean, my social psychology colleagues have done fantastic work on all sorts of phenomenon, but the really important phenomenon in life, the things that glue societies together, such as religion, for example, or music, or sports, or laughter, have really not been studied that much. And that to me is really incredible. And so if you think about the evolution of human societies, one of the things you are looking for is, well, what mechanisms add some cohesion to this ever larger group of strangers put together to do various things. And then, well, one of the things that you come up with is, well, maybe it's laughter. It's something we do very naturally, something we do a lot, something which we do almost immediately. And so that's when we sort of started studying laughter. And one of the hypotheses then is that that you're familiar with, very familiar. It's the bonding of social groups, connecting these groups of strangers together to make them cohesive and coordinating. And laughter can really quickly do that. It can converge emotions. And the other is, well, laughter may also allow us to sort of cope with daily stresses, if you like. It may allow us to endure pain, and that's when we got interested in doing this research, where we administer pain tolerance task before people watched a comedy and after they watched a comedy. We compared that with a condition where they didn't watch a comedy but like a documentary, if you like. And what we've shown in a number of experiments is that actually pain tolerance goes up, but only when people laugh, and the laughter is proportionally related to the pain tolerance.
Right, right. Well, this is so wonderful, and it's so wonderful to hear this from an insider, basically, someone who was actually trained not as an evolutionist and then encountered it and found it so very useful for their field. And I think that everything is trending in the right direction, but to have an interview such as this and to make it widely available is simply going to make it go faster. And that's why the magazine is actually a catalyst.
Yes,
Literally a catalyst. A catalyst is
right.
something that increases the rate of a reaction. That's what we're trying to do with this magazine for the acceptance of evolution by the general public, including our own scientific colleagues.
Right. Well, David, thank you for doing all this work as a catalyst in the field, trying to connect all these different disciplines together. I mean, that's really a service to the field. Thanks.
Well, it's a delight, and so we will meet again.
I'm sure of that.
Until now, this is David Sloan Wilson signing off for Evolution: This View of Life.
Thanks, Dave.